Well, the Clay County School Board Workshop, December 18th, 2018 will come to order. I forgot to do the invocation, but y'all forgive me. Y'all have a good Christmas and God bless you all.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
Workshop items, review draft agenda for regular school board meeting on January 8th, 2019. Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am. So thank everybody. Good morning. Thank you for adjusting the time to be here 15 minutes early. I promise we will have a hard stop today at 10:15 to respect your time, and some of the individuals have to go somewhere. So we'll jump right into it. We'll have some recognize of Clay County All-Star Athletes of the Month will be the first recognitions. We'll transition to C1, which is the minutes for the organizational meeting for November the 20th, workshop for November the 26th, and also a regular board meeting here for December 6th as well.
I don't have C1 or 2 on mine. January 8th agenda. Mine doesn't have C1 or
See if,
C2. It
is
starts
the
right
little
at
plus
T3.
next to it? Because I've had that happen too, where the whole thing is expanded except one or two of them.
I don't know why.
Is that our superintendent? I don't know why it would be.
Would it?
Jeremy, hit mine where it says superintendent. It'd be that way.
It's already
Look over your
expanded.
shoulder. No, look over your shoulder. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
C1 is minutes. Please stop me as you need. C2 is the 2019 Exceptional Student Education Extended School Year Calendar. This is pretty much the same dates and calendar and locations as we did historically. So we just wanted to bring it to the board in order to begin the preparation for 2019 summer school. C3 is personnel consent agenda. This time, there's nothing that raises red flags or that I should apprise you of. Just normal resignation, retirements, transfers, those types of things. C4 is salary schedule adjustments. This is for this is miscellaneous for increase of minimum wage. This is the increase in minimum wage by 21 cents from $8.25 to $8.46. Once approved, then we will transition and make sure this is posted through every one of our facilities. I wish it was more.
I know, I'm sitting here thinking,
C5 is out-of-county travel. As you can see, our NJRTC band, cheer, dance, and drama will be transitioned to a number of events. You see a lot of national events, so we love that Clay County is continuing to have national competitions. And there is one that is in December. This was a last-minute championship event that one of our RTCs were eligible to participate in, but everything else is forecasted for the remainder of January, February, and March. Okay. C6 is the application to renew the charter school for the Florida Cyber Charter Academy at Clay. As you know, we are required as an organization to have 3 pathways for digital learning. We do have Florida Virtual, we have Clay Virtual, and Cyber, and the Florida Cyber Academy will be our 3rd one. This is a 5-year contract agreement. We have to have this via the state. So we want to. This is us bringing this back to continue this body of work. This is right now. I will tell you openly that they're going through accreditation, and we are giving them to a point where in March we'll determine whether or not they have all their recommendation for accreditations in their information materials by Advanced Ed. If they do not by March, and if approved by the board in January, then we will go out and seek to have another digital platform so that we can make certain that we are aligned with state statute requirements. I will tell you this openly. They asked for seats to move to 600 seats. They've only had around 80 to 90 students historically in this platform. So what we did in the 5-year trend is that for every year progression, we just added 10 seats. But so that we did not give them availability to have 600.
They're not actually serving local kids, right? Is this the one that was serving kids from South Florida?
They are serving local kids here as well, so it's just an option that we have to provide.
but
What's the one that?
we had reached out, or we were going to reach out and offer cyber education,
No,
for want of a
it
better
was
word.
someone who contacted us from
I don't
somewhere in
remember
South
that
Florida
I
with,
remember us reaching out.
Yeah, I don't know. I can look into.
and it was like, I can't remember.
I can look into.
The Clay Virtual, were we?
Yeah, this charter school has changed its name. It's still the same owner, same board that you dealt with a long while back.
What was the old name?
Cyber or some Academy, do you remember?
Florida Virtual Academy.
And now it's Florida Cyber Charter Academy, but it's still the Northeast Florida
Yes,
Charter.
but they can't serve students from all over the state.
Mr. Connor? you
Yeah.
had something to
Yes,
say?
ma'am, through the
can?
chair,
They
this,
can.
they do enroll students from South,
They
they can
do.
enroll
They do.
from all
And-
Florida.
And I remember at the time when it came to us, it was really ringing, and they thought they'd have like 300 students
Yeah.
from South Florida. And apparently it didn't happen, but
Yeah, I think what they were going for, and let me, I'm sorry to, just to, fully inform you going forward in January, now, of course, I'll catch a new school board attorney, the old new school board attorney up on what I've recommended here. So this is that, you need to have the 3 by statute. This is the one of the 3 that you have now. You've had it since 2014, and it expires at the end of June 2019. It was basically, and this is using my own gut impression of things, I think that the board, the charter organization, was looking to capitalize on open enrollment. It just wasn't gonna fly because, you have basically 40 to 60 kids at any time that are your district's students that enroll in it, and there's overhead for every student that's in there, regardless of where they come in. So I think that the administration was wise in keeping the numbers, in line with the historic enrollment that they've had, regardless of the changes in open enrollment, because it comes, the onus is on you, this administration, to support it just like any other school.
Yes, sir.
So, all that being said, what you're being presented in January is the administration's proposed contract, okay? The administration wants to provide it to the board, get this board's approval, and then send the package to the Florida Cyber Charter Academy for its approval of what we've already signed. In other words, here's our signed offer. You can take it as is, sign it, and we're all done. Okay? And one very important part, as the superintendent just mentioned, is this accreditation thing. We have made it such that if this FCCA, Florida Cyber Charter Academy, does not obtain certification and provide evidence of that to us by, I think it was the March date, the whole deal's off, okay? So we've got to have that inherent condition in our offer. That they've got to have it, absolutely, before June 30, 2019.
And thank you, sir, and through the
Yeah.
chair, hence the reason that we're bringing this now, so that we can make certain we can have that conversation with them, so they understand our deadlines and understand what we have to accomplish in order to stay, consistent with state statute requirements.
will it be another 5-year contract?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they have a wait list?
Right now, I do not believe they do have a wait list.
I mean,
Did you say
students,
there's
did you
just
say
60?
Right now, they have around
90.
90.
90?
Yeah, 90.
There's not
They will-
evidence
But
of that.
there's-
Yeah, we've asked,
I
and
mean, because it's virtual.
they want 600.
Well, I was just wondering, are they wanting 600 because they have kids that want to come in, or they don't have a wait
We've
list?
asked for information about potential students, and it has yet to be provided.
Okay.
Yes.
And do also see they have a C rating for the past 2 years, is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the first 2 didn't even.
Yes, ma'am.
But we don't have a choice, we have to have it.
We have to have 3
Yes.
opportunities for virtual.
You have a choice for the duration.
That's correct. All right, C7 is Clay Behavior Center Agreement Contract. It's an annual contract for 18-19. This is for the availability for Clay Behavior to service students with disabilities. This is for mental health supports and supplemental district staff. Right now, we also have some great partnership with Right Path through SEDNet. So this is just another opportunity for our learners who are under the ESC umbrella to provide services.
Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, sir.
To the chair, also to remind the board, we have 2 in-house mental health counselors that ESC was able to budget for out of their Medicaid dollars. So those individuals, we don't anticipate we will need to use outside services nearly as much, but this is a stopgap.
And have we just started that with those 2? Is that recent?
That this year, yes, ma'am.
That's good, because I know we probably all at times hear that the Clay Behavioral is so busy
Yes, ma'am.
that
Correct.
students don't get
That's accurate.
serviced quick enough. So
We don't,
that's-
the contract will be in place because we need it. We also, through SEDNet, we work with Right Path, and then we also look at other agencies as well to fill that gap.
Thank you.
All right, C8 is our monthly financial reports for November 2018. C9 is our deletion reports. Anybody want a 1982 mower or laptop, you're more than welcome. Scanners, printers, up to $173,000 for deletion of equipment and materials that are no longer of value or of value to us for productivity. C10 is an award bid for our re-roofing for shingles throughout the district. This is a 3-year contract for up to $500,000. Are we still on hold for identification, Doc?
Yes,
Okay.
that bid opens.
And that bid opens when is it?
12/13.
Okay.
It's all, it's already been.
It's already been
Yeah,
held
it's
and
during-
opened, that's correct.
Okay.
That's 72 hours for the
Okay.
bid
All right,
protest.
awesome. All right, so we're still waiting. Once we get that, we'll update that. C11 is pre-qualifications for any contractors that aspire to work within our organization. C12 is our schematic plans for Keystone Elementary School parking lot, pickup parking lot.
be
Thank you
thankful.
for allowing us to work through, identify and purchase that property. This will allow us to have some alleviation for that community, definitely in need. So we are ready to move forward with our paving and parking opportunities within that community.
And as, pardon me.
Go ahead, sir.
As I mentioned to the superintendent and his cabinet, going forward, one wish that I'd have is for everyone to just be sensitive when it comes to your schematics. The board and this organization has had a history of presenting and placing on the public agenda schematics, construction schematics, and so on and so forth. Remember, with Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, there were more and more protections put in place that allow you to keep confidential any elements of building construction and security systems. This is obviously a parking lot, but you're not required, and going into the future, just be sensitive of that when you're talking about your construction plans.
Yes, sir. C13 is a request for resolution to move forward with a piece of parcel that is, you may want to bring up some of the viewpoints to see this parcel. There's a 1 acre parcel that is on the back side or the side of Ridgeview Elementary School. This parcel really has been accessibility, sorry. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
not on our
It's not on
agenda.
our agenda, but
It is. Hit your refresh.
Okay.
Is this the
I'm sorry. So this is a parcel that's on the backside or connected to Ridgeview Elementary School. What it was historically used as a parcel that we would move portables back and forth or have just accessibility for an easement. We have someone that is interested in buying this parcel. We did have the appraisal process completed, and it is appraised at $50,000. And we do have an individual that is willing to pay the appraisal price. I just bring this to the board because it was a parcel that we don't forecast using, and that someone in the community aspired to purchase it at the actual appraisal price. So I just wanted this to extend to the board to determine whether or not you wanted to move forward with this.
Is it the wooded?
we just own that little strip,
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
correct.
Yeah.
and the school is the top left corner.
No, that's
correct.
Ridgeview Elementary
Yeah,
School.
yes, ma'am.
is the
Schools,
top
yes, ma'am.
corner.
Schools, Ridgeview
So the
Elementary
left
School.
and the right is this gentleman's business.
We have a church and a business. And honestly, the property, through the chair, the property was reserved for future use to pull portables or relocatables, as the superintendent says. We've never used it for that. We have Ridgeview High School. We have access on the other side of the elementary school through Ridgeview High School to pull any future portables. So our team met, Mr. Connell and our team met, we decided that there really is no reason to hang on to that piece of property, and it offsets the purchase of the Keystone property, so.
Quick question about it, if I may. You've talked obviously to Ms. Roche. And is that an area where parents park for walk-up or parent pickup or anything of that
No, ma'am.
nature?
It's never
Because I
been
know
used.
that they've rearranged some of that as well.
That's correct. It's
Just
never been
making
used.
certain.
So looking at the
I'm
elementary
sorry.
school, what section of the school is that where it would have connected?
In your backup, there is, if you look at the first page of the appraisal, it kind of show you the same strip right here. You can see it backs up to the very back end of the property where the portables are. That strip right there, and then the other side is the high school. So we'll be able to access all of that area if we needed to relocate something in the future.
And the kids do go to the high school back and forth, so is that going to get in the way of them walking?
This will have no impact with getting back to the
Just
high
making
school.
sure.
Dr. Kemp, through the
Yes,
chair, is there something that they discussed about they wanted to actually create or build on that small piece of?
I think it's I think the person who's interested in the property wanted to contain, actually get the whole piece.
They're
That's
trying to
that
acquire
little
everything.
easement strip.
Yeah, makes
You know, they're
sense.
just trying to acquire that for their
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
And there's been talk of a camp, I don't want to put out misinformation, but there's been talk of a Campers World or an RV, something, not possibly going in there.
Okay, I know, okay, I understand, yes, and there used to be a church, and
Yeah,
they've torn
to the
down the
right, right,
church.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, because I kept trying to figure out where this was, because they're also building a whole new subdivision behind that area.
Right.
And this is up in the camp, okay. got
It's
it.
a very narrow strip of
Yes.
property, so for us, you'd have to find somebody who wants a 740 foot by whatever it is. It's would probably be very difficult to sell, if we were trying to sell it actively.
So, one thing to just chime in here, normally, I would recommend that you don't add to your public agenda before the closing of a sale of your property to reveal the appraisal. That can be kept in confidence for you. It's exempt from public record, the whole thing, until the closing of the sale. Here, you're given an appraisal that was actually prepared for the proposed buyer. So that confidentiality doesn't apply, and it made sense for the administration to add this to the agenda item to fully inform you as to the appraisal.
I guess what they're seeking is our go-ahead to continue
Move forward.
bargaining on this, and so you're saying that you shouldn't have the appraisal.
No, I'm saying it's okay
In this
to have an
situation.
appraisal attached to your agenda.
Okay.
It wasn't one done for you, and it need not be kept in confidence.
This
Okay.
isn't to approve bargaining though, this is to
Just
approve.
approve
Right.
the purchase.
Yes,
Correct.
this
That's
is
correct.
to support the
That's
sale.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Move
That's
on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. D1 is special action. This time none. D2 is a public hearing for adjustments to policy 105 through 113, an organizational school system, along with the proposed 508, and also additional to risk management. D3 is the hearing for adoption of K-12 math adoption process and materials. Last month we advertised. This month is for us to look at the mathematical materials. I will bring a PowerPoint real fast, and I will promise I will send it to you immediately after this with information related to this, the PowerPoint related to the math adoption processes. And she'll get started. I'll get started as well. So at the end of the day, what we did was make certain, first and foremost, we followed every one of the processes identified in our instructional materials manual. We identified a pre-selection committee of reviewers that comprised of teachers and district staff. What we did, we allowed principals to identify personnel within their staff to go and look through all of the materials that were presented to the district. I'll be open with you, the first time that we did this, we had like a handful between 4 and 5 individuals that may not have been selected, so we went back and rebooted it to make sure that we combed through it, that the principals identified a teacher who they were comfortable with to come and vet the materials from K through 12 in the organization. We also identified committees that work in grade, those same comprise committees that work in grade bands to review all of the elements and all the contents of the instructional materials rubric. In that rubric, they gave us scale scores that ranged, with the top being 775, scale scores of how they rated on the IMAT process to determine the alignment, the coherence, and the focus in mathematical practices. We did identify the top 2 products and presented these to math teachers across the entire district. We uploaded video modules that gave a 20-minute outlook of what they offered, and we allowed feedback from our teachers within the organization. I will say that openly that we didn't have all of our teachers to respond, Yeah, I know they're busy in their practice, and I give you an example for K-5, we only had 44% of our teachers that responded to the survey. Originally it was less, and we rebooted it, tried to get more.
Now, you saying, if I may quick
Go
ask
ahead.
a question, 44% of all K-12 teachers?
No, ma'am,
Or
only
44% of the teachers who teach math?
That's correct.
Correct.
That's
Math
the
in
key, in
K-5,
K-5.
yes ma'am.
In K-5?
Yes,
because
ma'am.
they don't all teach
And
math.
then we identified materials that were available to our community. We had 3 dates for them to come to interact with these materials on October 4th, November 1st, to December 6th. And then we had a final recommendation for the district committee that's comprised of district staff, specialist employees, and principals to look and review the instructional materials manual information. This is how this this is a chart that captures the first column, well, the left column from left to right is the grade band. The curriculum recommendation will be my recommendation as superintendent, and then we look at the teacher pre-selection recommendation, the teacher survey recommendation, the committee's recommendation, and any notes that I found to be, aligned to what my selection process would be. As you can see, right now, for the bulk of the materials that we're seeking to acquire, my recommend to the board, it's all aligned to what the teachers and pre-selection, the committees wanted to move forward. The only one right now that we have that I as superintendent, I'm not recommending the first one from teachers, is the Great Minds in K through 5. The top 2 curriculums that were selected by the entire committees and by teachers were Ready Math, which is iReady, bringing on a new math curriculum, and Great Minds, which is Eureka Math. Overall, these 2 were the top 2, and Great Minds with Eureka was the second one, with 44% responding to the survey. And my rationale openly to transition to Eureka and continue Eureka as a supplement is because Ready Math is a brand new curriculum that has not been research-based or proven in the state of Florida. As a leader, why I respect and appreciate the voices of our teachers, and I wish all of them would have done it, because we have 56% that didn't respond. I openly am not ready to try a new curriculum that hasn't proven to be effective in the state of Florida. Eureka has, and Great Minds has been aligned throughout the nation. I will show you that right now within this organization, last year we had 37% of our teachers implemented as supplemental materials. This year we have 82% of the individuals in our classrooms implementing Eureka Math, and that's at their own. We have not asked them to do this. We have presented this for them. They have the availability to select their curriculum and push. As you know, we have Go Math right now for implementation. As you look at around the nation, this is a Lafayette, and you can see in the 3-year trend from using Eureka Math, it continues to outpace other curriculums throughout the nation. It has great alignment, and you see the green through every grade level from 3 to 8, which are accountable and the same that we are within the state of Florida.
Are we in our second year with it?
Yes, ma'am. As you look at the District of Columbia, which is in Washington, they had 4 schools that used Eureka as well, and from a 14 to currently 2017, you see significant growth at their schools. In addition, this is once again in a school in Louisiana that had significant growth. If you look at the green from the national average of what they scored using Eureka versus the national average, they're outpacing it tremendously and almost doubling the rates. And additionally, you see that this is another one in Melbourne, Florida. I think this is Brevard.
Mm-hmm.
This is Brevard. You see that once again, you see tremendous growth using Eureka because it really is aligned. It's rigorous. The coherence is awesome. Now we talk about what we're doing in Clay County. These are grades 3 through 6 that we have used last year as supplemental materials. The classrooms on the left-hand side, Eureka has had significant growth within these classrooms. And on the right-hand side, you see there were in these grade levels, we had 3 out of the 4 grade levels improve, and 4th grade declined. But you see that we've had greater growth with the implementation of Eureka. If you haven't been, and I know you've been in the classroom, get a chance to see the power of Eureka and what it does. The only issues, and I will tell you openly with Eureka, if you're a teacher for year 1 teaching Eureka, the first 3 months are really hard. They are tremendously difficult because you're teaching different conceptual ways of how to apply mathematics. Historically, we all have really computed math. 4 plus 4 is 8. But now we're conceptually trying to figure out how you arrived at the answer of 8. Whereas 4 plus 4, how did you get 4? Well, now you have two number bonds of 2 plus 2, and you can break that out to so many, multiple different ways to see how the numbers actually engage in each other. Around the end of mid-October to November, you see teachers starting to have confidence and starting to have great strides at Eureka, and they start celebrating the power in what this curriculum brings in the same mentality for students. But I will say, Go Math had some positives as well. In fourth grade, we had some areas that we could have picked that we had greater areas of movement in Eureka. Ready Math has no data available, and I put ever, and they laugh at me because I put that, because I do believe, looking at it, that it's going to be solid. My only question is, I'm just not ready as a leader to take on a pilot at scale. This organization has great momentum instructionally and academically.
What's the price tag on the Ready Math?
Mr. Connor,
2.3 million.
So
And
it's-
that's without the professional development.
which is around, through the chair, $400,000 more than you would spend in Eureka.
It would be about $109 per student over 5 years.
And then we're having to train our teachers all over again, and our students and parents, it's a whole new
Great
now.
point.
And fortunately, through the chair, we have the iReady suite, which has a lot of this Ready Math lessons in
But I
there.
was just wondering, I mean, that just for consistency purposes, if we're
Right.
using iReady
Right.
in other places.
We are, and I do believe that Ready Math will be very good, and the teachers did a good job of vetting it, and it's
But the teachers were just given the two choices, right? Eureka or.
after the vetting committee, yes, ma'am. And it is, Eureka is just plain mathematical practices, where Ready Math made it, it's colorful, it's interactive, and Eureka is just plain, let's get after it. I mean, but it's been
You're
proven to
also
be.
talking K through 5,
That's correct.
which
Yes,
is
ma'am.
colorful and interactive.
I agree. Yes,
And
ma'am.
needs to be, and a couple of concerns about Eureka.
Yes, ma'am.
There have been teachers who've dropped Eureka or chose not to do it this year because they were inclusion teachers. And they felt that their ESE students were not able to get right into it. And sometimes that colorful, that
Sure.
interactive is more appealing to the students. From a Go Math standpoint, we were thinking outside the box within Go Math, and just another statement about Go Math. They didn't stay up with, obviously, the standards that we were given by the state.
That's accurate.
And in looking at the standards, Eureka, yes, does meet the standards, but it's, and here again, from an old dog who was
Sure.
teaching math, it's difficult obviously to get into a new program, number one. Number two, it's when you're teaching it in such a way that a lot of parents and a lot of teachers don't see their children all understanding it in the first go-round. Eureka is a program that comes back and comes back and reteaches and reteaches. That was hard for me to see in the classrooms that I visited.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I was walking around going, wait a second, this kid didn't get it, and that kid didn't get it, and this one. And the teacher just moves on. And it's a feeling, it's sort of a feeling from a frustration from a teacher perspective, because you want all of your children to learn it. But understanding and talking with those teachers and understanding that, okay, it's okay, because we're going to come back to the same idea or the same standard a week from now, and then again 3 weeks from now, and again, and it is true that kids all of a sudden, when that light bulb goes off, it's like, wow, I get it, and that builds on that. But
Yes, ma'am.
for the
I've
K
heard
through 5
so
teachers,
much.
that bothers me a little bit.
I've heard so many parents and teachers rave about Singapore math, and I've always wondered why we never have considered that as a district.
Go
I
ahead.
can speak just
Go
a little
ahead.
bit through the chair. Just, first thing we always look at in curriculum instruction is alignment. And when you look at the ratings for Singapore math, they rate very poorly as far as what they report says, is coherence and rigor and all of that,
And
so.
when we're talking alignment, we're talking to the conversation.
State standards,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
State
State
standards.
standards. So when we talk about alignment, so edreports.org rates every one of the curriculums, and as Mr. Connor said, some apply, some do not. If we look at focus and coherence is, do the standards build upon each other? And we talk about that. Do we see a spiral progression of what third grade is teaching to fourth grade and fourth grade to fifth grade? So what we look at, if we look at Visions, I only put Go Math on here because what we have historically adopted and used, in the past and currently, and then Visions Math. If you see Eureka continues to have great focus, it's aligned with standards, the coherence is beautiful in relation to that spiral curriculum and knowledge. It builds upon one concept to another. related to mathematical practices from K through 8th. And overall, it has 126 value points. It's around 125. And the reason Envision only has 84 because it doesn't have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade curriculum tied to it. And Go Math was underrated as well. If you look at the rigor, is it really complex mathematical tasks every single day? Eureka continues to be aligned from K to 8th. As you see, there's some partial alignment with Go Math. And it rated 144 out of 162. And the usability, while it may be somewhat complex, the usability is, has greater usability related to other content areas. And it scored, above its counterparts. And overall score is really, truly one of the best and greatest aligned curriculums to what Florida Standards has. As it relates to our teacher resources, there's a number of resources we can provide educators. Pacing guides, preparation guides, curriculum overviews, check sheets, standard check sheets, using Khan Academy as their online platform in a way. We have true professional development, online communities or PLCs for our teachers. Stern Learn is pretty much a platform, and grade level Eureka Google Classrooms could be continued throughout the school, through our school district for teachers. And 82% of our teachers are already using it in this, and it will continue our momentum.
Go back to the iReady platform
Okay.
and that curriculum.
Okay.
And here again, from a teacher perspective, not you,
Yes,
but the
ma'am.
county, the state, whatever, the county is voting on, we are voting on a curriculum that we're going to use in the classroom. And the K-5 teachers, and I realize unfortunately, only 44% of those math teachers voted, which is unfortunate, because if
I agree with
that
you.
small group said no, and maybe they were the ones that felt the strongest about it, who
Yes,
knows?
ma'am.
But the K-5, having that platform of iReady there, required as part of the math curriculum, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, ma'am.
Then going through with that particular curriculum, to me, would make sense as a teacher, saying, well, look, we're already using
Use
it.
it,
We're already
iReady is a tier
required
two.
to use it, so why can't we just use this, even though it doesn't have all of the data behind it? We're going to have this program for 6 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I can see where teachers feel, this is where I want to go because I'm already using this. This
Yes,
is
ma'am.
something that I've already learned, I've already implemented
Right.
it.
So-
And now you're going to impose another, and although a lot of our teachers have used Eureka, whatever we decide, I can't encourage us enough to say, not just the classroom teaching or the training of Eureka in a closed setting at the TTC,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
if we can somehow build into it the training of teachers going into other teachers' classrooms
Yes,
to
ma'am.
watch it in practice.
I agree with you.
That
And-
would be huge.
And through the chair, I don't disagree. So right now, we will continue to use iReady for a tier 2 opportunity for small group instruction to differentiate instruction every single day because it has beautiful learning paths and meets the learner where they are from the readiness levels. The only thing is that Eureka Great Minds has been out there for, I want to say, 10 years.
Mhm.
So they've already filtered through the gaps and the problems. So their curriculum is pretty solid. It's not going away. It's really truly aligned. What Ready Math is, since it's being brand new, they're going to identify, we're going to learn along the way the next couple of years of what the problems are, where the gaps lie. So, that means that we have to go back and rewrite curriculum guides, assessments alignment, exit tickets, essential learnings, and do all those things. And I think Ready Math can do that in the next 3 or 4 years. And as our time comes up for another adoption process, if it proves competence, I'd be willing to have, if I'm superintendent, I'd be willing to have the consistency of both of those being aligned.
And this adoption is for 5 years?
Yes, ma'am. And my apologies, this should say parent resources. And one of the biggest things you see with Eureka is that some of the parents are struggling to be able to assist. So we have to grow greater legs in our community to help our first educators as our parents. So we have parent tip sheets of how to use this, how to understand modules. We will upload free module videos so they can see what they're working on for that week or for that 3 to 7 days or 10 days so they can interact with it. We will have family nights not only at school levels but throughout the district. We can use Khan Academy as well. We have grade roadmaps that will help them through the process. and we will provide homework helpers before, during, and after school to help students continue to learn. And then we always have Zern learning platforms as well to help. But we will be consistently, as we are now, and even better, diligently making certain that we help our first educators with this process.
Do we have parents taking advantage of assistance now?
One thing we want to do is have a homework hotline. I know I spoke about that a while back. We need to probably put that in practice to really have better assistance to have, especially from K-5 to mathematics and that. But we do have modules we are uploading now. Tiffany, anything you want to?
There's parent tip sheets on there that we share out by module that they get to help with their homework. Parents are going online to Zern. Zern takes Eureka and puts it for them right on the computer. It's the exact process that they're doing in the classroom. Multiple schools are having parent nights where they're coming in, they're learning the math, they're practicing it, they're going home with their kids and doing it. The classroom visits, we were setting those up so teachers, administrators, and parents can come in and go see what that looks like in the classroom. It's really growing. And even if it wasn't Eureka, it's math is different than we learned. So the process, no matter what curriculum we're gonna take, although this one does the best
new
job at
math.
breaking it down.
It felt like every 2 years we were getting new math. though,
Yeah. Well, and that's my
changing it so much. I think was really
Right.
And
frustrating to parents
and-
and teachers.
And through the chair, Ms. Karakasz is exactly right. And I would say that especially in secondary. Secondary adopted Carnegie. And I will be honest with you, the teachers didn't want it, didn't like it. There's problems with it, and they didn't use it. So they were
That's right.
chasing a Band-Aid to try to fix it. So you're absolutely correct. And we really don't have a staple for what we're doing in secondary. This gives us some true leverage of identifying curriculum for the entire organization from K-12. And teachers are ready for, especially in the secondary, for a stable curriculum that we can implement. This will be around $3.8 million for 5 years. Within our budget, and it's broken down by grade level. Mr. Connor's done a masterful job of working through this process. He's still working on quotes because we're trying to take that number down as often as much as we can and prepare for implementation if approved by the board.
You was talking about sixth grade advance.
You can, Mr.
So one of the
Mr.
things
Connor.
too regarding the teachers at the sixth grade level, really, they voted Pearson as their number one choice. And so in talking to some of our math specialists and talking to the teachers, we are looking at possibly adopting for the sixth grade advanced students, the Pearson, which will be a great gateway into the Pearson product as they go into 7th and 8th grade. 'Cause
Yeah.
overwhelmingly at the secondary level, Pearson was the winner. And
Yeah.
so
So
we're looking at that as
K-5.
adopting sixth grade advanced Pearson.
So,
Very cool.
so through the chair, so K through 5, it was Eureka and Ready Math. But in 6th grade, they wanted Pearson. The problem is that when most of these curriculums are developed, they're developed in the mindset that 6th and 7th and 8th grade are in middle schools. We don't have middle schools, so we have K-6. So it just makes sense for us to have the same consistency for foundation of the core curriculum that we adopt. However, there are pockets such as advanced 6th grade math that we want to be able to select that will have a greater gateway through and transition and through to our junior high schools. We do have pockets though. I mean, good points when we talk about we have accelerated learners for advanced. We have some schools that are doing a really good job that we will allow them to use supplemental materials through the process that we can help them through implementation. We also may look at some additional needs for students with disabilities if there is something that some of the materials we need to bring that's more attractive for the learner. So our biggest thing is, and I know you can appreciate it, we want to make certain that we provide aligned curriculum that where students are going to be assessed on, it meets the level and the spirit of the standard. So we have to have a point where they have tier 1, this is what they're going to be assessed on, but at the same time have tier 2 and tier 3 curriculums to help them bridge the gap to accelerate the learner every single day.
Quick question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
the articulation between 5th grade, with K through 5, and then going into the junior high. And this is something I'm not familiar with the Eureka. Do they really build the multiplication charts and the multiplication understanding? Because the biggest frustration that we would have as 5th and 6th grade
ma'am.
teachers is talking with the 7th and 8th grade
Yes, ma'am.
teachers, coming back and saying, your kids don't know how to
Yes, ma'am.
add, subtract,
So
multiply.
through the
And
chair,
it's
I'll
like,
say this: if you when you go and you go and watch Eureka, you'll see they'll have fluency sprints all the time.
Okay.
And fluency sprints is where you get like, let's just say 40 or 50 questions. They get on the sheet of paper.
And that's
They
what we
get 1
haven't
minute
seen.
to practice, whether it be addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. And they have to cycle through it 1 minute. They stop, they figure out how many they got right, and then they go back and they sprint again and see if they can beat what they currently continuously got right, from the first time. So it is embedded throughout Eureka, which is working on the foundational skills that I agree with you that could be
That's-
alarming.
Huge, yes.
Sorry.
And it's frustrating from a teacher's perspective because you know they knew it.
Yeah,
When they left your classroom.
That's one of the favorites.
They
And
did.
through the chair, it's one of the favorites that kids like about Eureka, the sprints. They
And the
love it.
fluency
That's-
activities, every day they go through mental math where they're decomposing
That one I
numbers.
saw,
and
that was just.
Kids are interacting with
perfect.
numbers in a way we haven't seen
Yeah,
before in our
yeah.
county through this.
It's really
The
fascinating.
mental math is
Yeah.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I will send this out to each of you directly after this meeting, so you'll have, and, please feel free.
And Ms. Piper.
Ms. Pyle, yes ma'am, Ms. Pyle will get it. All right, thank you, and D4 is for public hearing approval for a new proposed policy of 1.14 with religious expressions in public schools.
And we had a question about that at the last school board meeting, and I don't know if we specified that this is from the legislature that we have to adopt this.
I think we did.
Did we?
I think
I don't
we did.
recall.
Do you
I
remember?
do not
I
remember.
remember
Christensen
mentioning that, I
mentioned
don't know
Yeah.
what.
We never, I don't remember hearing that we responded to his comment, so,
I don't,
not that we,
yeah.
Yeah,
Did
so the
you-
statutory changes have been in place, right? And then everyone,
We
when I
have
say
to,
everyone,
yes,
all the school
yeah.
board attorneys around the state were waiting for the model policy.
right.
So did anyone talk to that person?
I did, he left before the end of
Oh,
the
did he?
meeting, so.
Okay.
So the model policy
If,
came
I'm
in.
just saying, if it comes up again, we may
Yeah.
want to say this
Just
is a
say it.
statutory requirement. Mhm.
Sounds like a good.
All right.
I've got to say this, going back to the math, I am amazed at how much research and work and the data from the different school districts. There's got to be something good with this. I know I was trying to help my mentee with math one time, and the principal walked through the media center, and I just said, you have got to be kidding me. But that's because I'm just like a parent. My daughter in Atlanta, she's like, what am I supposed to do? So I'm really glad that you're making it available for the parents to learn. And when we were in school, it was rote. You memorized the
Yes,
you.
But even
Drill
with Go
practice back in
Math,
the
even
days.
with Go Math, I taught,
And remember
I'm
the
trying to
flash?
remember how many different ways of division we taught. I
And
want to
the
say like
flash-
4 or 5 different ways to divide, and I thought,
I remember.
I don't remember
sitting
any of
in
these.
classroom. That
I
was so
remember-
confusing.
I
to
remember
watch
the
kids.
flashcards.
we still use
Every
them.
night
Sure.
we would do
When they first changed
flashcards.
over to
So
they have
they don't do those
calendars.
anymore.
But
No flashcards?
I mean, just
Oh,
look at your multiplication.
heck.
Drill and practice.
I still like flashcards.
Yes, ma'am, that's what I just said, drill and practice. There we go.
And we learned, amazingly, we learned.
And we would teach this, I would tell my children, now remember, when you go home, your parents have never learned division this way.
I know.
So if they want to teach you a different way, let them, don't get angry, we'll learn it here in class again.
Needless to say, I never broached math again with my mentee.
Reading,
I
I
said,
said,
read
reading.
language arts.
I took a page of
History
paper to say, 2 plus 4. I mean, I was like, what?
It's fascinating how they do
But
it.
I'm fascinated that y'all got a handle on it.
Mr. Davis, before you go on to the next
Yes,
thing,
ma'am.
I just wanted,
I don't personally.
I just wanted to make a board member remark in case at 10:15 when I have to leave and you're still going. Because this is so, what are we, 2.5, almost 3 weeks before the agenda. I actually have an item that I'm gonna add to the agenda, but 2 weeks is Christmas Day. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that I'll be sending it and adding it sometime in the next week. And it's just about the the school safety.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a discussion item only for us to discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
So just wanted to
Okay.
be transparent.
Can I ask if it's talking about what our plan is for next year?
Well, it's a couple of options. It's discussing what the options are, yes. I just want to discuss it on the board floor because I'd like to get some information from the superintendent.
Okay,
for
because
all
I had
It's not-
asked, well,
it's not
I had
to take
asked for
action.
information.
No, it's just a discussion
It's not to
item
take
only.
action, just to
It's
I
discuss.
understand,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to remind you that I had asked for a workshop regarding the same
Yeah, and I
in
think
January.
what you're thinking is different than what I'm thinking.
So through the
I
chair.
don't know though, just going by what you said on the board floor, you know. but-
And so through the chair, I will work with Mrs. Bush to look at calendar times. But I'll be open for whatever you decide you need me to do.
After we discuss whatever I'm gonna put on, if you wanna have a workshop at that point, you know, we can go forward with it. But there's information I'd like him to get for the board, so.
Okay, because I had asked
So
for
is the
information as
discussion
well
about
for the
doing something
workshop.
different than what we're doing now?
Maybe,
Different plan,
yeah, yeah,
maybe a different plan.
yeah.
Okay, we'll wait and see.
So well, you'll see, and I'll send it and everybody will see what it is, but it's just,
I'll be ready. Right, I'm done.
Hey, good work. There's no one here from CESPA or CCEA, right? Okay, I didn't want to overlook it.
Yes, ma'am.
And school board attorney, do you have any comments?
Nothing further, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
He's out of here, man. He's a short timer. This dude.
I'll be here all week.
He's out of here. Got boxes are all over the place.
Okay, school board member remarks. Any? Okay, then this,
no, we're not done, because we're following this.
oh, I've got to go through all this. Potential EduPoint partnership. Mr. Davis?
Okay, all right. I didn't know. So we're gonna transition now to the workshops?
Yeah.
It's still on the same
We're-
agenda.
Okay.
It's on the same agenda.
Okay, all right, so, all
Closing
right,
it
so
up.
thank you. So as you know, I wouldn't bring anything to this board that isn't really combed through and doesn't make sense to this organization. Right now, this conversation right now for the next 20 minutes, we'll talk about Focus. And Focus has been our body of work for our school information system for the last 6 years. It has met our needs as related to what we're trying to accomplish with data mining, being the hub for information, having avenues for teachers. But I've come across an educational platform. Oh, I just lost my PowerPoint. Educational platform that I believe that can stretch us and really improve upon the practice and the work related to our student informational system in Clay County. Today I want to welcome Miss Chris Moss as our the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer from EduPoint, along with Mr. Rob Wilson, who's the President and Chief Innovation Officer. I like that title, Innovation Officer. It's from EduPoint here today that will participate and help us through this. I made
I'm thinking allocation.
I know, right? There it is.
See a new job description.
I like it. It's great on the cookie card.
Terry, when you guys say tell him no.
Superintendent and
Innovation Officer. Sorry, Mr. Wilson.
I'll share you the job description.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So at the end of the day, you may ask yourself, why would we want to transition into something that's so massive? Because it really is an undertake for us to look at our whole hub for all of our analytics, to disrupt the way teachers and students interact with our new platforms. But I have to tell you, after looking at EduPoint, it is a world-class experience. When you see this this opportunity, this information system, it just goes over and beyond what Focus or anything that I've ever seen able to do. It not only manages data, but improves the accuracy and simplifies the work for increasing our productivity, not only from the district perspective, but a school's perspective, a stakeholder perspective, and a student's perspective as well. It offers a beautiful suite from a teacher view portal, which provides a number of classroom tools for them, from grades to look at the way they interact with students, from classroom management to communication protocols, and at the same time it provides a robust analytical suite that allows us to look at extensive reporting now, and for us to synthesize and analyze data points to identify trends and patterns, become more efficient as an organization. You may ask, why right now? Because Focus contract ends July 1, 2020. And if we decide to move in the direction of a new platform, we want to make sure that we have sufficient time to really work out kinks, to plan, to communicate, to bring all the parties on board so that we can have extensive professional development to make sure that we are prepared if we decide, you decide as a board, that we can transition to a new platform. And the projectability would be to go live in summer 2020. And the financial savings of this district over the next 5 years would be around $1 million or above to the organization related to.
How long have we been with Focus?
This is our 6th year.
6 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And I remember when Focus came in, lots of complaints.
I don't think so.
But I don't think
Oh,
we're
but we
still.
left a dinosaur program
We
to
did.
go in
Yeah.
Focus.
We did.
Mr. Buckley, do you want to say
Through
something?
through the chair, that is correct. And I want to bring up a word that is, I'm going to bring up a comparison that might at first be a little odd. What I don't want to do is, we have another couple things beyond what this slide says. In 5 years, a few people might know the name Bruce McGuffey. Mr. McGuffey will be leaving the district through drop in 5 years, which means we better have our stuff in order before we lose the most important institutional knowledge on that side. So everyone, a lot of people are shaking their heads. So we have very precious time left with Mr. McDuffie. So standing up a product, so this is not just choosing EduPoint, this is choosing how long we will be staying with
Right.
Focus. You can't bring someone in and ask them to switch their first 3 years because they're barely scratching the surface. The other part to that is exactly what was just mentioned. The Business Plus conversion is because the terms to Business Plus conversion is 13 years late.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again.
Right.
Well, for example, I switched two of my previous districts off 13 years ago off terms into Skyward on the financial side, and we went to the student side. But in that time frame, I don't want to revisit the Business Plus conversion again. So I want to do it while Bruce is here, and I want to do it with a great system. And to be honest, I think they're going to prove they're a great system.
I agree.
So is this really user-friendly for our teachers to
Yeah.
have, easy access? Will
Yes,
the,
ma'am.
Yes,
will the
ma'am.
turnover be difficult?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna quote. I'm gonna quote somebody. I just don't remember who it is, so forgive me. The teachers will think this is Focus version 10. It's
So-
that close, but
Oh.
the interactivity is unlike anything you've ever seen. But as far as that first gradebook view, if you're talking about just using the gradebook, it's still just a gradebook.
Very simple,
Right.
okay.
But
So-
everything else around it is what makes this
And-
special.
And this is, and Ms. Kirkus, to your point, through the chair, this was the biggest thing that we had to determine. How will this function with our teachers? And it has the greatest accessibility to it. If we look at this, we talk about Discover and Power for Clay County. These are all the functionalities within EduPoint and Synergy educational platforms. It looks at our informational system, to learning, to technologies, to ESE, to RTI, to analytics, to parent and student accessibility through mobile apps. It brings all of these components together under one umbrella. As we look from a teacher's perspective, and it's a great ask, it should be always the first ask. Right now, teachers are having to go to multiple places to upload information or review information. We have Focus as our SIS. We have Gradebook, which is as another, Focus also has our Gradebook. But then we have ESE, we have to go to STAR. And then we have Performance Matters for our assessments. And then we have an MTS. So we're all over the map of trying to figure out all these solutions for teachers. And Synergy Educational Platform transitions to all of this and more into one platform. So it's easy accessibility for our teachers. And this really allows us to have a mainstream, consistent data hub where teachers have to have indirectly a one single sign-on, and they can interact with all of these components within the organization.
The important piece of that is everyone wants their scope to be as narrow as humanly possible. The deeper the dive, the less the professional development across multiple platforms. We would be shutting down, for the professional development who's sitting behind you, we'd be shutting down multiple avenues of professional development for teachers and focusing into a singular system.
Yeah, which is time consuming. So we talk about teachers, it's more functional. Right now, what this will do is platform a two-way Google Classroom integration, so they no longer have to upload double grades. So if they're double graded in Google, then they're double graded in Focus. Now it all merges one into one. There's a greater mobility apps for teachers, parents, and students to have accessibility through communications. What EduPoint does, it just doesn't put analytics for grades, but it gives them beautiful imagery graphs so they can see and some, to make differences and to compare. It has an awesome dashboard for test scores, help student when you bring up Addison Davis, his entire platform is there that they can interact with, and it gives them a PBIS support. This is all about positive behavior supports. This is what Macaulay's been trying to implement in this organization for the last 2 years, and it gives it at their fingertips to use for their interface, and it gives beautiful opportunity for them to look at analytics to really go ahead and comb and identify how to differentiate instruction opportunities within this platform. These are just some of the, I know these didn't come out the way it should, but some really the visuals that it has, from our gradebook to Google to assessments. It allows them to drill down on the top right to an item analysis for our kids, within the top right, but it just gives them so much more accessibility and visuals through this platform. This is again RTI. If you look at the learner, the way their assessment scopes, their growth, their energies, what classes they are taking, where they are from a positive behavior support platform. So it gives them a number of avenues to look and interact with this platform. How does this benefit parents? Because the next question is it going to be easy accessible from our parents, or are we going to have a bunch of CRs that you're going to get emailed about often? And I can tell you this is, we will do our job to coach parents of how to interact and use. But this is greater accessibility. The app is better. The portal is better. Right now, you got to drill down for your grades, and it's just at a fingertips, touch.
Quick question
Yes, ma'am.
about parents. Will they have to learn how to sign on again to go from Focus to this? Because it took years, literally, to get parents to start using Focus.
It did take years, and what we'll do is we'll replace the application. I'm not going to say the application interface, but because the parents are using what
They're
is set up
already
with
in,
us,
right.
that will migrate into here. So it'll be more of, instead of retraining them, it'll be repointing them.
Okay, and here again, part of that, a parent's not going to have to come into the school during that migration to be approved.
If we've already
to go
verified,
into- yes.
then we've already verified.
Right.
A verification is a human verification,
Correct.
and how we input that into the system is something completely different. I'm not going to ask the parents who've already been verified to come back.
I agree.
That's, I'm thinking about,
That's it. Yeah.
we
Yes, ma'am.
finally
They had to do
taught
it at
them.
the school.
They all
Yeah, you're
know,
right.
they all know how to do it now.
Except for the
I do,
kindergartners.
I do want to comment, it looks like you've done your homework again, which we expect and always get.
My board is very
But-
sophisticated.
But also, I do like the idea that it'll save us money and that it looks like a very effective program. I am curious though, how many districts in the state of Florida use this?
Yeah, so this is a good question. Where this is a little bit different than when we talk about curriculum. This is, no one in the state of Florida has used this. It's us and another county that are kind of trying to not race, but
What
moving
other
forward.
county?
Can I say that county or no?
No, sir,
It's
this
not-
is
You
public,
can't.
this is a publicly
Okay.
broadcast meeting.
Okay,
So-
no,
all right,
never
so
mind,
another
I didn't
county.
ask that.
Yeah, so,
Is that why we're getting a discount?
So,
so I got a good smile for that.
so, good. So this is like a, we are
We're
kind
the
of the
pilot.
guinea
Yes,
pig
ma'am.
pilot.
We could be, and I will tell you, so in the next couple slides, I can go through, that's a good question, and the answer to both of y'all's answer would be yes.
Okay, Mr. Buckley wants to say something.
Yeah.
We are the state of Florida pilot, but if you would humor the rest of the presentation, I think you'll see, while we will be the state of Florida pilot, they exist in
20 other states.
20 other
Okay,
states,
that makes me feel
including,
better, I was starting to.
well, including California, which has the most difficult state reporting to my knowledge.
Okay, so you're gonna cover a lot of this
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
rest,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, and Mrs. Iannone,
Very good.
there, just got married, so.
Oh, nice.
Jamie, congrats,
Congratulations.
congrats. Has used this in her former life as well in Georgia.
Oh, what part of Georgia?
Cobb County in Atlanta.
It's big.
Oh, okay, I know where Cobb County is,
So-
I moved from Atlanta.
And from parents' perspective, they can go on and look at grades, history, academic history, and they can also print out unofficial transcripts and update any demographic information. And then one of the beauty things, if we look at controlled open enrollment, this will allow us to have online registration for controlled open enrollment versus doing a 1982 Google Doc that they have to fill out
Oh
and
my
submit.
gosh, there you
And
go.
so it benefits, and this is just some of the platforms that we'll go into it, but benefits for students. Gives them their own mobile app that they can coach and go through and interact with. Look at their grades, their test scores, their student behaviors, their grad tracker, and we want to put in a what if analysis for the grade predictor. So if a teacher gives 15 assignments it's going to be for the entire year for their syllabus. They can go in and calculate what grades they need to get in order to obtain the A status and
And
earn
you
A.
know there are students who are going to do that.
I know they
Oh
would.
my gosh.
I think I love it.
I would have.
Yeah, I know.
How about your students that just need a.
They want to get there.
Yeah.
Well, you
There
know,
were- there were a few
I say
college
this:
courses
the
like
biggest
that.
thing is, I thank them for you even looking at it. You know, so if they can register for courses, they can submit assignments, and communicate with their teachers. And this is some of the attractiveness of what they offer. So one thing that we did, and you know that I wouldn't bring this to you if it wasn't really reviewed. We put together a number of teams. Me and my team have reviewed it. ESE staff has reviewed it. We've got teachers. We've got Mrs. Pivo on board to review us. Core IT groups, state reporting teams, administrative users. We put our best in front of EduPoint to really poke holes, poke the bear, to figure out what we can do to get better, and does it make sense. After all this analysis, openly we agree that this has the potential of being a national model. It is really a solid product, even though it's not in Florida. As relates to Florida, we would be the first partnership to be implemented in Florida, which means, yes, correct, we would there's a discount immediately through this process, through licensing discount, no cost to toolkits.
How many years does the discount continue?
The contract is a 5-year contract, yeah.
So it'd be a
It's gonna be
5-year
5 years.
contract with
Yes,
a
ma'am.
focus for 6.
We get discounts on professional services, hosting data, in additional as it continues to grow. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I don't want, on a technical aspect, I don't want to overlook the importance of bullet 3. When we go to make changes to software, owning the source code means we don't have to go back to the company and say, we need you to create this, and then create a scope of work where they charge us money. Owning the source code means we could create our own modules later down the road without the dependency of the company. That is very, very important to me.
All right, and then there's potential of continued.
Wait a minute, back up to that last slide, I want to
there's
see that
con-
again.
There's continued us being a flagship account, and then as it grows, there's availability for us to continue to have, to save more money, I would say.
So that's an opportunity, if this is very successful,
That's right.
that
And
we
anybody else is
will be
we
getting
can-
some discounts.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and visitors from other counties too.
Right.
For sure.
That's right.
But that's also important, because that's,
We only need a few of the big 7 to go that way, and we would be 10% cheaper than Focus as we currently pay
we would be 10% less expensive
than
than
Focus.
Focus in 2020.
Well,
If we were to redo that.
not 2020 after
Right,
after
correct.
these would apply.
But this doesn't take effect until summer of 2020.
This is on
We
top
need-
of the Focus cost, yes, ma'am. So
Okay.
like they match Focus, this is additional savings beyond if another company
Correct.
or school district, not company, another school district
This
comes
is in
in.
addition to the 1 million on the other slide.
And when does our contract with Focus expire?
2020.
July 1, 2020.
So we'll have an overlap of how long? Or not at all?
If
One
you
will stop,
said
others don't.
today, then it would be about 18 months. You'd be talking 1 school year where we'd have to pilot to get it correct, to make sure that the state reporting, because state reporting is obviously very, very important for our
Major
funding.
money.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, for the state reporting, I wouldn't even move forward with a conversation. So their CTO and their 3 or 4 of their state reporting team flew out
Right.
for this
And
conversation.
you need at least a year to do the piloting?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. so
I
we
would
can-
not feel
we just want to get
comfortable-
through the kinks.
I would not feel comfortable advising the board before that. I mean, ultimately, our FTE means more to me than anything else.
Yes, yes.
Finance spends the budget, FTE garners the budget, so we need that time frame.
And
So
we-
entering the contract's important.
Yeah,
Thank
and,
you.
and through the chair, we would be able to eliminate other like STAR and other programs, Performance Matters, potentially to save money through this as well. And I'm going to hand this over.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much for taking the time to talk about who we are and entertain the thought of bringing Synergy here to Clay County. Our core leadership's been together over 25 years, which is unique in technology. It's extremely unique in vertically oriented technology companies such as ours.
Where was your, your,
We have 2 offices. Arizona is our largest office. Our corporate offices are in California. Chris and I are both out of the Arizona office. For us as an organization, there are many other players in the market at large that do many different things. We are 100% laser focused on student data management. Everything in, of, and around student technology and the tracking of student data is what we do. That's important when you look to embrace a partner moving forward. What is their focus? Our focus is in student data management. This kind of shows a little bit of our growth over time. We're pretty proud of our steady growth. We are not looking for a quick dollar. For us, everything we do is strategic. And so today we're at about 4 million students served across 20 states. And as you see, many of the other players that are national players in the market, they go chase every single state. For us, it's very strategic. It's important when you are looking at who is going to be your partner. Currently, you had Focus for 6 years. You have Focus currently going into your 6th year. You had terms, I'm guessing, probably for 15 or more years prior to that. So anyone that you're looking at, how can you leverage this technology platform moving forward for the longest period of time? Because as Superintendent Davis mentioned, this affects every single person in the education community: students, parents, teachers, administrators, board members, and beyond. So what's absolutely critical is the approach of the organization that you're going to partner up with. Our approach is to strategically pick states that we know are going to serve our long-term interests. We are not looking. If we thought for a second that Clay was the begin and end of our presence in Florida, we probably wouldn't be as interested. We see Clay and Superintendent Davis and the team as the visionaries being able to adopt it and willing to take that first step with us. But for us, we're looking to bring our solution into the state of Florida pretty significantly. So this is kind of enumerating some of our key accounts. We have some large districts, Gwinnett and Fairfax. Fairfax is a beacon district, as is Gwinnett throughout the nation. So we're also proud of all the different districts, large and small, because we have districts that are charters that are 20, 30 students up to Fairfax County, and statewide solution. Back on this last slide here, looking at the blue states are actually statewide solutions: Maine, Oregon, and Arizona. For us, large to small, the solution will scale with you at whatever size you are. That's important, certainly here in the state of Florida, and obviously for you have a comfort knowing that we serve districts this size, Clay County size, all the time. This is something that really is in our sweet spot, in our wheelhouse of what we do. This slide is actually an important one that talks about how we interact with our customers and how, and we talk about customers, but it's really, we even change our vernacular a little bit. There are partner districts. We know that this experience is a shared experience. This is not simply, we sell you software and walk away. This affects too much. This is ERP for a school district because too many people are affected by this. So we have, very personally, from a cabinet level, both our CEO and founder, Bob Weathers, myself, Chris, we're all on the cabinet, as well as a few others. We monitor our satisfaction with our partner districts weekly through our cabinet. So that's very important to us. We watch the trends on that. So we're also, it's essential that you can roll out your solution and have it be adopted. And for that, we're very excited about our implementation and adoption rate that we have. We do everything we possibly can to make sure that transition, which is a stressful time in any organization, no matter how good the solution is, it is stressful. You brought up, a board member brought up the transition from terms, and it's amazing what that older system did and how amazing it was when you have to switch to a new system. It's just the feelings people have, change management. So ultimately, we spend a lot of time in the evangelism of a solution, which is critical to gain adoption. And Superintendent Davis did a fantastic track of engaging all levels of the organization through the vetting process. So it's not just his decision. This is a decision that's been brought through all different key members of all different advocating responsibilities throughout the district. So that's also an important aspect. And some information about our staff and our customer retention rate. We actually, over time, many companies, they have an ebb and flow of losing. They kind of factor that in. We don't. We've lost 3 districts, 2 have come back to us. So there has been one district that has actually departed from us. Because when people come out of the 550 districts that we serve, you know, a majority of them, many have been on for 10, 15 years and have seen us evolve over time. So we're not just an SIS, we're a true education platform that's been brought up a few different times, all the different areas that we serve, core SIS, RTI, LMS, analytics, so on and so forth. Yes? Did you have a question?
No, I'm reading, sorry.
Oh, sure,
Don't
sure.
go far, I'm trying to
It
see
might be
what's on
difficult to
there.
read as you look around the edge,
Right.
but the different constituencies that we
Having worked
serve.
with Providence, I'm sitting here going, does it do this and does it do that and does it?
Yeah, there's
So far.
from special education and of course Jeremy brought up our Synergy technology, which is our fundamental building block suite that we provide districts who want to license it so they can extend the product in directions that perhaps we haven't taken it in. But I will also say our base configurability in our solution is amazing. You can modify screens, you can change descriptors and labels and create your own screens all through the base product without having to engage any development platform. The development platform really provides the ability to extend and connect well beyond things that we've been thought of today.
An important fact of this that we don't have today is when a module or a unit is created for another customer, it's not a charge.
Okay.
That's an excellent point, Jeremy. So anytime another one of the 20 states, the 550 school districts, envisions something that they would like to see as part of the product, and we choose to build it, they choose to pay for it, you get that as part of the next release. We don't have 550 different forks of code managing one-off implementations. We have a single implementation, but we have configurability, so we'll allow options if something is not what, you know, we feel it might change the core functionality, we provide an option so a district can adopt it or not.
So within that 5-year period, or whatever the contract is, when you do a next release, within that 5 years, we automatically get an update during this time?
There's no cost, that's part of
Okay,
our
just
maintenance and
making sure.
support.
It's not 5 years later, it's continuous.
So
Okay.
we do 2 annual releases
Mhm.
and with various little updates in between those, but
Mhm.
annual releases tend to have our more future-facing changes that we
Just as
are
long as it
evolving
doesn't
the product.
change the screen too much, so people go, now what are they trying to do?
Anytime we change something that is that significant, we have what's called new feature assist. So the first time an end user comes to a particular screen and something on it has changed, we say, hey, just like you experience with Google platform, we say, hey, this has changed, and it walks you through what the change is.
Awesome.
So this is very important because it really, this particular slide, it tells you who we are and how we approach, talk to you about our market. Now this is about our product. And this is very sensitive to me because I am the Chief Innovation Officer, so everything that goes on here and all of my energies, a majority of my energies are really focused on the product itself. And so over time, you can see we've invested a tremendous amount in a variety of different modules as we release them. And as well as our mobile platform, which is second to none. I can say that with confidence that there is no other product out there that has as many role-specific mobile apps that we have, from administrators being, and our whole notion and idea with our platform is not only to provide the deepest possible functionality, but it's also changed the way people work. It's to decouple them from the notion of having to have a laptop or a computer. It's to embrace the notion that everybody's mobile today. So why not have the administration, as well as many different roles in a school district, be just as mobile? From counselors to administrators to health professionals to special ed professionals to, of course, teachers, parents, and students. And one that we've just recently introduced is our kiosk view as well. So front office management for handling tardies and a whole bunch of self-service activity for the front office.
And while at the same time, however, maintaining the integrity of the privacy of our students.
Without a doubt. Nothing is stored
That's
on any mobile device. Everything is interactive with the website. Although it's a native experience on the device, no information is actually stored there, so the information is entirely secure.
Oh, that would not fly with me, for the record. If
If
that
it was
was,
ever-
if that was
yes.
locally stored, I would not be okay. We wouldn't even offer that feature if that was. if that
And
was
you
done.
realize, with all due respect, you're my gauge. Because if you are somebody that would that would agree to something like this, you're one of the key people.
Every one of you have seen me openly disagree with almost every administrator at some point since I've been here in one way or another.
That's why.
And I was one of the first people to jump on Google in the state of Florida.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I will tell you, I have some of the first Chromebooks
Mhm.
still in my home today. And I have not seen a product to rival that initial Chromebook launch like I have with this. This is every bit as exciting to me as that first Chromebook I put my hands on.
And through the chair, openly, I mean, I respect that Jeremy is gonna be the one to help us with the driver of this work. My job is to educate everyone, but it's the best tool that I've seen, I believe, ever. So I'm just.
We agree too.
A
We're a little bit biased.
Are you old
Thank you very
enough
much.
to have
Thank you, sir.
anybody retire from your company?
Ms. Bush, I have one slide that I
We,
sent.
we actually, so that's a very good question.
One slide.
So our organization from our executive
Got
team
one
is
slide.
kind of bifurcated
Since
into
you're checking
old
it.
leadership, new leadership.
Mhm.
And our CEO and founder is on the north side of
the
the
older
older leadership. And so we've got, there's about 3 or 4 of our executive team that are there, and we've got about 6 new executives that are, new is not the appropriate word, they've been in the industry for considerable time,
I
but
said in who
younger.
works for Ian Gaines.
Oh, sure.
And so they just had the Christmas party. I said, well, then
And I plan on saying it's not public
we
forum,
had
but,
one this year.
presentations like
It was a big deal, I'm sure.
are
Yeah,
great.
it is.
This is great. I think this type of presentation should come at our general meeting and not be at a workshop. I think, this type of stuff should really be at the general meeting.
And so, from what I understand, you wanted to get kind of the feelings from the
Yeah,
board
they-
members on this, and then you're gonna put it on the agenda perhaps in February?
Yes, ma'am.
For
At the end of the day, I'm
contracts?
just trying to look for, the boards, the school boards, pulse of, an appetite for this type of movement. Hence the reason I asked for it to be a part of the workshop. I'm not sure how it would go, whether it's at the end, after the agenda review or whatever. I'm willing to present wherever the board wishes me to present.
Yeah, I would suggest, and you have input from the board, because, we'll be spending money on this, and it is something totally new, that perhaps at a board meeting, I wouldn't ask them to fly back from
Yes, ma'am.
Arizona, but with this presentation,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that y'all could do this presentation, or Jeremy, and so that we don't have to go into the weeds
Yes,
with
ma'am.
the public, but I think for them to know what this is, and so that they'll know what the board is considering
Mhm.
signing a contract.
Well, and the other perspective, I understand where you're coming from, but I found this to be incredibly helpful, having worked on Focus and Terms
Oh,
before,
I
and
think
being
the
able to
presentation was
see.
excellent. I didn't say that. I just said
I-
I think this whole presentation
Well-
should have taken place at a general meeting where the public is there and
Oh,
anybody
well,
who comes.
right.
That's,
Well,
I think everybody should
Yeah.
hear the great stuff we just heard.
But I
Right.
appreciate it being here today, because I feel like we can
We
ask
have-
more questions and get a little bit deeper in the
Well,
weeds
and-
on it, but I think it's, I think Ms. Carrickus is right, when it comes to the board for the contract, we need to have a
That's- yeah,
presentation
absolutely,
between Jeremy and Mr.
absolutely.
Davis, that they don't have to go into every minute detail, but, I think it was good for us right now to be able to sit and ask maybe
Yeah.
questions that people would say are dumb questions, but that you don't really want to get into on the board floor, into that much detail.
Quick observation,
Yes.
our last couple of workshops, this room has been packed. I'm wondering if we might ought to consider a different venue.
So through the chair, we're in the process of, the old copy room
Mhm.
is being revamped, and it will be able to be built.
February.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. Trying to get it done in February.
February,
That
we'll have a
would be-
workshop in February.
Very good.
I'm trying to-
I
I got 9 minutes.
I don't,
All right.
Are we,
I got 9 minutes.
One very mild thing, just while we have EduPoint in here, and something that I've urged the administration to make sure of, since we're boldly going forward as the first district here, we'd love to have a clause called the most favored nations, and I'm sure you and your attorneys are quite aware of that, that guarantees the district the best price that EduPoint has offered other government entities. Two, under the current state of the law and State Board of Education rules, this type of purchase and vendorship need not be put to competitive solicitation, to bid and so on and so forth. There are changes afoot, there are rule-making changes afoot, they haven't been made, and Jeremy and the administration, Addison, they're fully up to date on it.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. We want to say legal.
That's right. So thank you. Last piece, and I'll probably have a 9-minute hard stop. And we talk about, the excitement of Clay County. We have 4,800 newcomers in the next 10 years. We will be building 5 to 7 schools. And I believe that there's an opportunity for us to capitalize on this expansion in this county. If you look, the University of North Florida, the last 15 years have changed the way their logo and their image, and they have a growth mindset, that's invigorating mindset. And you look at McDonald's, they are, I guess, they have transitioned tremendously over the years. JU, and from the left is the old, the right is the new. And Clay County Commissioner's Office also has adjusted their logo, and then also the Jaguars last year as well. So what I want you to do is just to have an open mind to this quick presentation from Katie, Katie. Josh Katie is here as well with his staff. And just to look at this and just to get your thoughts on this process. Mr. Katie?
Well, I think I've got 8 minutes for my hard stop, and I'll try to get it done. In 7. And just to kind of set the stage, my family's been in the district for 20 years. Photography, branding. My dad started the company, and we're fortunate enough to expand it through Florida and Georgia. And one of the things that we are bringing to districts and high schools in the Southeast is an approach to branding. So we've tackled this huge project, a very sensitive project in a lot of schools, where we begin to evolve their look and their feel to kind of take them into the next age and to give them something that we can brand with. And so Matthias is here. He's joined me from Sweden from 7 years ago, and he's my lead designer. And I'll just walk through this, and just so everyone understands, there's not a cost to this. This is just something that we do for the districts we work in. So it's just something that we've spent a lot of time on with Mr. Davis to help bring the look to the next level. And so, of course, this is the current logo, and we talked in deep discussion about how can we take this to the next level and still respect the old. We like the torch. We want to keep the blue and the red. We want to hold on to In God We Trust. And we kind of went through all these different conversations to get us to where. That was fast. Oh, I missed my punchline. All right, so anyway, thank you. Just kidding. But we probably had 8 or 10 meetings back and forth to try to find something that would look good on many different textures and still respect the old and bring it into the new. And like I said, this is not our first rodeo doing this. So of course we've got it.
And the C is the flame is a C. And please know that y'all can beat this up, adjust it, whatever you like to see. What, Mrs.
Hey, I'm Brandon.
But I guess what we're trying to do is show you how it would look throughout the county to kind of.
Wait, go back that slide.
One more back.
What language is that?
That's Latin.
Have you seen emails? You speak different language?
Absolutely.
That's okay on emails.
What is that?
It's gibberish. But piggybacking up on the last precinct, we've done this branding for Gwinnett County and Cobb County and Georgia, a lot of very large districts, and so showing, of course, how it would look in your different documents and ideas.
I'll have to get a new shirt.
We'd have to get an awful lot of new everything.
Absolutely.
Which
So-
is my concern with this, is that, I know we've had the same logo for 30-something years since Superintendent Wiggins was here.
No. It was changed some under a former superintendent.
Well, that's
Well,
when
we
we
added
added
the
the
In
In
God
God
We
We
Trust.
Trust. But I worry because this is on everything.
Yeah,
It's
so-
on every vehicle, it's on every school, it's on every manual, it's on every template, it's on every form, it's on everything. And I worry about the cost of changing.
So through the chair, good point. A lot of this is going to be digital. Digital transition, and then we could phase out the old logo to a new logo. I could do a cost analysis for everyone to see. I don't believe it's gonna be that much, because we're only talking about 2 stickers on a car, and then as people transition their business cards, because we got a lot of people transition now, I told them potentially hold, but we would transition as they ended and not to go spend, additional funding. But I only bring this to you because I think now's the time to strike, and I say to strike to be creative and be fresh and be innovative in the 21st century. And we try to respect the old logo, which we want to do, and we understand traditions. But I think this launches us into a creative age in the 21st century.
I'm also concerned about the discovering
Yep.
endless possibilities,
Yep.
which I like, but every superintendent seems to have their own little catchphrase.
Yes, ma'am.
And so if that's on there and the
can
new
take-
superintendent comes in, then they're gonna wanna
Right.
change the catchphrase
Yeah.
to
Why?
whatever theirs is.
What's,
It would be our catchphrase. It would be,
It's
I
the
mean, we would be
district's
making a
catchphrase, yeah.
decision for the district.
well, I think, Mr. Davis, I personally think it's great. He had a book that showed different possibilities
Mhm.
and how they kind of progressed into this. And, I'd
That
see
would
one
be nice
page and
for
say
the rest
yuck,
of
and
us
then
to
the
see.
next page they would
It
move
was-
the flame up, down, bigger,
Mhm,
and this is the best.
Mhm.
And that's what y'all decided on. And I have a lot of respect for your company. Everybody's heard of Katie, But what I would like is for you to bring us some sort of cost analysis so that we would have some, and I know it's hard because you don't know who all's gonna buy shirts or caps or
Well,
that
I'd
kind
like
of,
to
they
see other
can buy
options
those, but.
too.
Yeah.
I think the board should have more than one choice.
So through the chair.
Well, he could, if he walked you through that book, you would see.
Well, maybe you should walk us through the book.
Yes, ma'am. There was a book that was presented to us, and it was, we appreciate the work on it, and we just tried to clean the process up and to give you an opportunity to review and make any adjustments. I'm not just saying this one logo, but we can bring you the other ones as well. I can tell you openly, they're nowhere near as attractive as that.
That's true.
I think that discovering endless possibilities should be in Latin.
It's actually, it's a very nice phrase. It's
I like
endless
it.
possibilities.
I will say for the districts and the superintendents I've worked with, when they adopt an approach, there's a lot of excitement around this, and a lot of people have your same feeling of, hey, do we need to spend all this money? But it's amazing just the incremental change starting digitally and the excitement around a
That'd have to
brand
be
and
done
recognition,
tomorrow.
especially with this building schools and adding. So again, this is just something we do to add value to what we do, and we just are very honored to be part of Clay County.
It's very
Well,
cool.
I feel like this, we've had a superintendent now for 2 years who has brought us up to 8th in the state of Florida and A district. We are now doing, looking at EduPoint and things, and I feel the atmosphere, for lack of a better word, in the district has changed so much in the last couple of years. I feel like this is almost like a new day in Clay. And so if it's not terribly expensive, I hope the board will entertain this. And if some of those drawings that were on the pages from the front to the back, maybe if you just made copies of those to show the board, so you could kind of see the progressive expanding of the flame and moving it up, down, and,
Quick question, did the legislature pass the requirement that every school has to have an
Yes, ma'am.
trust? So if we went with a new brand of this nature,
Every school
which,
district
and
has to
I
have
pulled out
one?
one of my cards, just to sit there and
Lottery
look at
trust
this,
on it.
and look at that,
On
and
our
going,
logo.
that,
On our logo.
I like it. I like
It's
it,
required,
it's
is that what you
clean,
said?
it's fresh, it's open, it's new.
So we were ahead of
And it
the
says in
curve.
God we trust, and if we got a new seal for
Do you
every
like it?
school,
Even though we were
Exactly.
told
we
to
could
be
put it in the
safe.
school, they've got their requirements done.
Right.
Did you have
And-
some others progressions you said?
Well, it was things like
I like the side that
moving the flame to inside the circle, moving, this, that, but the others were all kind of out of whack.
I like the Clay
I think
County
if
big and
It's
open.
just, through the
This
chair,
doesn't-
it is unbelievably clean. It looks,
It is.
it looks,
I mean-
it looks awesome. I mean, that's something you look at and you go, I do, wow. Today, I've looked at it 10 times, I still go, wow. So,
You can see it.
I don't want to, I
And
want to respect your time. I said I'd have a 10:15 hard stop.
You got 1 minute.
Thank you so very much for, you viewing these items today. I know this is a difficult decision, and I will have accessibility to that other book. I can send it out. It's, while the work, I appreciate it, it's nothing like what you're seeing in front of you today.
You're
Now,
not
is
bringing
this
this to the
something-
next
No,
meeting
no.
or the one after. There's no rush to actually go forward at this point
Is,
till
is
we're ready.
this something that
Oh,
will
until
have
you
to be
decide
placed
where
on
we're
the
at.
agenda for us to decide to change the,
I believe it will, through the chair, I have to be
District.
placed on the agenda, but I want to make sure that we're comfortable in doing that.
Yeah, it has to be board voted.
so how soon are you looking at putting it
If,
on the
I
agenda?
mean, if you have immediate feedback where this board, the school board likes this logo, sooner
I
than
like
later.
it. I'm gonna come out and say I
Well-
like it. When I look at our current logo, I can't even see Clay County.
Right, well,
I'm
That's
just not
my
comfortable
concern.
spending the money.
All
I
right.
mean, we need to watch our purse strings, and we've just increased salaries, we've given administrators raises. This is easily gonna be 50,000 or more to change everything in the district. It's on buses, it's on schools, it's on cars, it's on hardcover booklets, it's on students', handbooks, it's on everything. It's on their
Yeah.
planners. I mean, we're talking money.
And-
So I'm really not comfortable spending that much yet on something that I feel is not a need, but a want.
All right,
So through
Mr.
the chair, it
Davis,
would
would you-
progress, we wouldn't spend it all right now.
Okay,
I'm
Mr.
not
Davis,
comfortable leaving ahead that.
if you would, by the January board meeting, it doesn't have to be done at the meeting, but just sometime between now and January, I don't think we're gonna be doing a lot of school board stuff over the next couple of weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you would share with the board some sort of cost analysis so that we can understand that. And then, I have already, sitting here, heard 3 board members who are ready to commit to this design, but we do need to know kind of the cost
Yes,
to
ma'am.
it.
Yes.
And then maybe, bring it to the February board meeting. That'll give us January, by then we'll have a cost analysis. That'll give us the whole month of January to ask any questions or whatever, and then just put it on the February agenda. Is that soon enough? There's not a big, huge hurry, is there?
I don't
Or
think
you
there's
wanna do it
any
in
hurry.
January?
I mean-
It's crazy to go forward in January.
Through the chair, I'd say this, at the end of the day, I will take your timeline. I mean, I do think there needs to be an alteration. I think this is a great opportunity to
Yeah.
rebrand, so. up to you.
But if you could get us a cost analysis, and we receive it even over the holidays, we could put it on the January agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
That would give you time. I mean, it's up to the board. What do y'all wanna do?
I'm not particular.
I like it.
Is January okay?
January.
We'll put it on the
We
January
can
agenda.
look at it in
I'm
2
not
different
comfortable with it on
perspectives.
But
We can
what
look
I-
at it as a
But it doesn't
new
seem
for
to
the
matter,
new
so,
year.
as Mrs. Studdard says, I can count to 3.
Well,
I do have to go though.
I was going to suggest that we look at it possibly in the summer for the new school year.
Well, I would say.
And not make a decision
Ms. Fuller,
immediately.
you would need it before then though, because if you think about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
saying, to make the decision, but
You
to
know,
make
what
a
I
new
would like to ask Mr. Davis is in
approach
addition
in that
to,
respect.
in addition to the cost analysis, if you would also send on those pages copies of how it progressed from A to
Yes, ma'am.
G.
Yes, ma'am.
So that they can kind of see
Thank you
what,
for your goodness.
how your mind works on that.
Yes, ma'am.
You gotta leave?
Yeah,
I have an
10:15 hard
appointment.
stop.
Okay,
So-
are there any,
Merry Christmas.
are there any, so you're gonna put it on the January agenda and you'll get us this
If
information?
I can get the cost analysis.
Look at this.
Okay, and if not, we'll have to delay it to February.
I
I was gonna say, a transition would start, you can
Thanks
start
for the
digital,
goodness. Merry
like things
Christmas.
like everybody in the district
Right.
has it as an
Appreciate it.
email. We changed the
You
letterhead, which
need
is
more
something
hand,
that we
you got
print and do
first.
Put that in
ourselves.
writing
Yeah,
and
throw it in
send
my
it to
There's a
us.
lot of free digital.
Okay, questions from the audience? Anybody?
Sure.
Superintendent comments?
Thank you, and I hope everybody has a happy holidays. Natalie made
Yeah.
some gifts in these tins and
Thank you so
some hot
much,
cocoa, so
everybody.
enjoy.
Okay, school board comments, anyone?
Thank you,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Thank you, everyone.
Merry
This is
Christmas,
great, so
everybody,
Merry
and thank you for the
Christmas.
goodies, and the meeting is adjourned.